broadcasting live from our studio in Boston with presentations from prominent industry vendors. Solutions Review presents Data Demo Day, an online event for data management and analytics.
I'm Doug Atkinson here at Solutions Review, and welcome to Data Demo Day. For this edition, we brought together 4 of the hottest data and analytics solutions coming out of Silicon Valley. Let's continue on now with our next featured solution, Prophecy. Prophecy is data engineering for the modern cloud era. They democratize the development and deployment of high-quality data pipelines, combining visual development with agile software engineering best practices. This allows data teams to focus on business value instead of technology and build complex solutions in a fraction of the time needed to write custom code or implement complex proprietary tooling. Prophecy facilitates a modern data mesh organizational style and line of business users, all while delivering on productivity, trust, efficiency, and integration demanded by IT. And joining us to take a deeper dive into the Prophecy solution is co-founder Maciej Szpakowski. Maciej, thanks for being with us.
Hey Doug, really excited to be here. Thank you.
Well, it's exciting that you're here with us. We've been having a great Data Demo Day today, and we couldn't be happier to have Prophecy with us as well. And honestly, it's great to have a founder because you're really close to this, and I think you can probably answer every question that would come in. But also, you can give us a little bit more of a perspective of the opportunity that you see before we get into the actual meat and potatoes of the product. Tell us a little bit about why you decided to become a co-founder of a company to solve this problem.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll definitely do my best in terms of answering questions. But before Prophecy, I worked on quite a few different data engineering and machine learning products. Actually had another startup before this. I was really an avid user of Spark. And you know what? I've just experienced a lot of the problems that all the members of the audience might be experiencing today. Right, I was trying to build next generation, really fancy machine learning models. And unfortunately, the low-level systems, the execution engines themselves just kept getting into the way. So I'm just very excited to be here today to show you guys Prophecy and how it's addressing the problem of the data team's productivity.
Well, you know what? I'm going to step out of the way and let you do that. But before I do, I'm going to set everybody's expectations around if they have any questions and if they want to send them our way. We'll take them here at Solutions Review. We'll set them aside until Maciej's all done with his presentation. And then we'll come back. We'll save a few minutes at the end, and we'll go over those questions, some questions I might have, and then, maybe a few questions that come to me during the presentation. So, Maciej, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you take it from here, and I'll talk to you in 20 minutes or so.
Awesome. That sounds like a plan. Yeah, again, thrilled to be here with this great audience to show you how an organization can 10x their productivity through a low-code data transformation product. But before we do that, let's actually step back for a second and think about the challenges that exist there today for operationalizing of data platforms. So Spark is there. It provides you a really great execution engine and underlying system. But after going to market and discussing this with many different data experts, we found 3 different categories of major challenges, right? So first of all, there is not enough talent. As we all know, data engineering is hard, and currently to be productive and gain any insights from your data, you really need to have a workforce of super skilled data engineers. Hiring and training those guys is really difficult, right? We need to teach them about how the underlying distributed systems work. Second of all, collaboration between teams is really low. Currently, every single member on your team or even between teams is writing code that is very often duplicated. Making that code reliable and pushing it to production is difficult, and it requires a completely new skill set. The challenges of standardization and robust operational practices has been solved, though, by the software engineering teams, right? They have introduced the concepts like Git, testing, and CI/CD. Third of all, the teams are not flexible. very often there is a single data platform team that is responsible for productionization of your workflows and pipelines developed by analysts in business teams. That's clogging the productivity of the whole organization. And some companies choose legacy data tools to elevate some of those pain points. However, those can't handle the big data cloud use cases. But enabling your teams to be productive is not just about enabling the data engineers themselves, right? We need to enable all the different data stakeholders. And within an organization, there is plenty of different titles going around, right? You have your ETL developers, you have data analysts that want to be productive, and platform data engineers, and many, many other. They're all looking at the same problem from a slightly different angle, but the goal for them is always the same. They want to become productive data practitioners. So what do they actually need? They need a really good and high quality development and deployment environment. They are looking for a system of record, right? They want to know exactly, hey, where are my pipelines succeeding? How much are they costing? The observability layer on top of their whole data infrastructure. And they want to have a platform that inherently is very flexible. Every single different vertical, every single different organization, which will come with their own specific needs that they want to address in their own ways. So on a little bit lighter note, essentially what is happening today is traditional data systems are pretty much glued together using code and scripts. And that's like living within the Stone Ages. With data lakehouses, with low-code solutions, you can modernize your data stack like evolving into the space age, right? So it's like going from the Flintstones where you have to use your feet to propel your car to Jetsons where you can move with tremendous amount of speed and you're powered by the best engines. Okay, that sounds fun, but how do we get to that new era of Jetsons? Well, Prophecy provides you this low-code platform that is built on top of 3 different pillars. First of all, most importantly, we want you to be enabled on a productive, rich feature set on a visual development environment. In this whole presentation and demo later on, you're going to see a lot of gems popping out everywhere. Those gems are our sources, targets, transformations. And at this very first pillar, you can very easily standardize your whole development with those gems and allow the teams to reuse those abstractions. We give you the standard capabilities like lineage, search, data quality governance, on top of directly your data products. So that's great. That gives you a very complete solution. But at the same time, what's super unique is that this solution is built 100%, and it gives you 100% open source code. Right, that code is super flexible. It's native, sitting on top of your Git. It has branches, commits, allows you to reuse all the best software engineering practices. It gives you CI/CD, right? So very reliably, you can now be pushing all your code into the production. You can be testing it, building it, and of course, deploying it. On top of all of that, the third pillar, we give you really powerful abstractions. We might not have enough time in this quick session to kind of walk into the details of that, but there are certain features like the App Builder and Enterprise Framework Builder that if you want to know more about, definitely feel free to reach out to us. Okay, so that all sounds great in theory. What about practice? Well, turns out Prophecy is helping out already a tremendous amount of different Fortune 500 and other companies to be really productive. So here's one use case scenario. We've worked with top 5 healthcare company, and we enabled all of their different data practitioners. Some of them had already existing Spark experience. Some of them did not. Actually, majority of them really did not have any existing Spark experience. We helped them to build a centralized set of standards and frameworks so that anyone in the organization could be productive. And all of that was built on top of modern data technologies, right? They essentially migrated from old on-premise systems to and modernized to the new cloud-based world. And that whole movement was done for hundreds of different ETL developers. And now they are onboarding thousands of business users and analysts on all the gold tables, on all the artifacts that those developers have created. And they've built thousands of different data pipelines over just a span of really less than a year, which is really impressive. Another really quick example, one of our favorite customers, Waterfall, they have this really interesting use case. It's of course a little bit more on the fintech side. They have this really interesting use case where they've been trying to pursue this journey of data mesh. They've enabled their data platform teams already on our product on Prophecy to be really productive, and now they are enabling all the other downstream teams, the domain data teams, directly. So they have two teams: data integration teams, which are somewhat skilled in computer science, though they're coming from like economics and finance majors, and then they have the trading desk teams that their main goal essentially weekly is bidding on those partial portfolios and running analysis on new data sources. So with Prophecy, they've been able to really accelerate this whole process. Awesome. So enough slides and enough talking. Let's deep dive into some fun stuff. Let's deep dive into the demo of our product. By the way, for anyone who might be following this or listening to this later, everything that I'm going to be showing you, you will be able to also follow by yourself. At prophecy.io, anyone can sign up. There is a free trial. We all actually give you some basic compute to also get started with and trial the product. If you are already a Databricks customer, we are featured also on their Partner Connect. So you can just go on Partner Connect, click Prophecy. Click Prophecy and directly connect to the product itself. So really, really easy to get started. But let's go ahead and actually try to use the product and build a complete pipeline from scratch. We're going to build a simple reporting pipeline, but we're going to do all of that in just 10 minutes. We're not just going to build it, we're going to test it, we're going to schedule it and observe it running in production. So plenty of work to be done. So let's go ahead and get started. I actually have an already existing project. This project is just a repository on Git. It's right here. As we mentioned, we follow all the best software engineering practices. So you have your commits, you have your branches, and I can just load this project directly into Prophecy. It already has some data sets that I'll be able to start working with. So let's go ahead and create it. I can see all of the different repositories that are available to me on GitHub. So I'm just going to load my webinar example. And just like this, I am now connected to that Git repo, and I have this project visible to me in Prophecy. I have a bunch of pipelines that already exist here and some data sets that we can start leveraging. But for the purpose of this, let's just go ahead and create a brand new reporting pipeline from scratch. In this case, it's going to be a batch pipeline. But of course, if you do want to build some little bit more modern, even streaming use cases, work with real-time data, very, very much possible. And here we go. So this is our empty canvas on which now we can start building out our pipeline. Couple of important things to notice. Right top, I have my cluster connection. So this tool automatically here connected me to a default cluster. In this case on Databricks, but any Spark is very much supported. I can spin up a new cluster if I want, or connect to existing one. On the left top, I have all the gems available, right? So this is what we've talked already a little bit about. Here I have all my sources, targets, transformations that I'll be able to start dragging and dropping into the canvas and building out my data pipeline. And at the bottom, I have a little bit of Git information. This is something that all the engineers out there will really love, and we'll see this number of uncommitted files go up as we keep developing. So let's go ahead and get started, build out our pipeline. I can drag and drop my first component. We have to start with sources, of course. So let's go ahead and configure it. I am here gonna connect to a orders data set. I already have an existing table on my data lakehouse, so I'm just gonna use that. But if you want to ingest some files from scratch, connect to different warehouses, of course you can do all of that directly from here. The whole idea is that essentially any data source that is available to you from Spark, plus we have some connectors available to you, you can connect to really, really easily without knowing actually under the hood how it all works. I can just pick my Lakehouse database and connect to my silver orders table. Here we go. I can load up directly the schema from my catalog. If I want to, I can apply some additional business metadata on top of it, right? Maybe write descriptions, describe my columns, mark some columns, I ask PAI if I want to do that. And then I can just make sure that my data is actually loading up correctly. And so here we go. We can just look at quick sneak peek of the silver orders data. Awesome. So now we have our orders data loaded up. I can just drag and drop another data source that I would like to use. I already have this pre-created orders. I'm just gonna add that up really quickly. That was super simple. Perfect. Okay, so we have 2 data sources ready. Let's go ahead and start building up some transformations. First things first, I would like to join my data together. So I'm just gonna add a join component. It automatically snapped to my pipeline. Perfect. I can pop it up. And here you can see a transformation component within Prophecy. There's a couple of different perks that we give you to make sure that you're really productive when writing your transformations. On the left-hand side, you see the schema, so you exactly know what you're working with. And on the right-hand side, you can easily write your transformation logic. This is where you get an expression builder, and we show you all the available functions, all the available expressions, columns, and allow you to just type them out really quickly. If you are making a mistake at any particular point in time, of course, the tool will just guide and help you with how to fix it. Cool. So we have our first join component ready. And now I'd love to actually test my pipeline, right? I, of course, still have loads of work to do, but let's make sure that it runs correctly as of now. On any single one of the gems, there is a small play icon. You can just click on that and it will run interactively your pipeline up until this particular gem. Okay, we're processing here quite a lot of data, so this will just take a second, but I can keep on developing. This is a reporting pipeline, so I need to do some aggregation. I would like to sum amounts, so I'm just gonna pick my price column and sum them up. And I would like to do it for every single customer for every single month. So I'm just gonna pick my customer column and the date column. I'm gonna extract the month from every single date. That's how simple it is. Perfect. And just like that, we have our aggregate component ready as well. And I can see that my pipeline has already run. It processed quite a few records. I can deep dive into those samples really quickly, and I'll be able to see all my records, preview of my records visible directly here with some extended data profiles as well. So that I can make sure that there's no nulls flowing through any of my columns and the basic statistics are there available to me. So that I can evaluate that there's, for instance, no data skew. After joining, now I can see that I have both my orders and customer columns all together. Okay, well, this was awesome. We've built some transformations, we've run it, made sure that it works. It took quite a while, however, for us to run this particular pipeline. Ideally, I should not be working on production data, but on some smaller samples. That's, however, a lot of work. So what I can do is I can just quickly limit the amount of data I'm working with. It's one of those really small perks that Prophecy gives you just to boost your productivity significantly. And now on a limited data set, I can just significantly faster test my pipeline. Wow, that was fast. So I have all of those rows growing really fast now. I can evaluate quickly what was coming out of my aggregate. So now we have essentially the summed amounts for every single customer per every month. This is looking okay. The data seems fine, but I would like to format this report somewhat better, right? This is not the report that I would like to give to my executive. So let's go ahead and actually clean this up a little bit. Well, turns out that one of my colleagues have actually already built a subgraph in Prophecy that is responsible for enrichment of your customers' data. What I can do is I can just drag and drop this particular subgraph and reuse their work. That allows the teams to collaborate easily and very productively. Now I can just run this particular subgraph and let's see what is going to be the data coming out of it. Okay, that was super fast as well. Let's see. And perfect, now this is looking so much better. So for every single customer, we have some demographic information, our amounts are actually now readable, and our months have turned into a readable format, English format as well. Perfect. So we have our subgraph ready. If we want to modify it, if we want to deep dive into it, understand how it works, really simple. It's all available to you within just a single click of the fingers. Okay, perfect. So now we have built out this transformation, this whole reporting pipeline. And as you've noticed, the only really skill that was required for us to do it, it's like understanding basic Excel-like functions, right? The second you understand those functions, now you truly can become a productive data engineer thanks to Prophecy. Let's just do one last step and finally write out our data to a final table. I'm going to create a brand new table here that we are going to overwrite on every single write. Perfect. And just like this, now we have completed our data pipeline. We can just quickly run it one last time and make sure it actually works. But Prophecy is not just a visual editor on top of your pipelines, right? Under the hood, all this hard work that we've been putting has been turning into high quality native Spark code directly on top of your Git. As you can see here, we have functions. Those functions, every single gem on our canvas turned into this function, and we can deep dive into them and understand them a little bit better. Some of our customers are telling us that, even if they came with no Spark background before, now that they started using the product, they're actually learning how the underlying systems are working under the hood as they see this code being generated for them really productively. Okay, perfect. So we have our pipeline. Let's now quickly operationalize it and productionize this. So in the last minute, let's just go ahead and schedule it and release this pipeline to production. So this is a monthly reporting pipeline, so we should have a monthly schedule. We're going to run it every first of the month. We can send some additional alerts if we want to. We can very easily expand on our schedule if there are any dependencies, maybe other data pipelines that we would like to run beforehand, maybe my cleanup of customers and cleanup of orders. Really easy to set that up. And now I can just go ahead and release all of this code to production. And this is where the Git manager comes in, right? I hope that everyone in the audience heard the term Git. It's really cool, very powerful. At the same time, sometimes a little bit difficult to use. So let's go ahead and see how Prophecy makes this really simple. We can see all the new pipelines and entities that we have created, commit them directly into our Git. And we can already see on GitHub also that now we have our branches showing up, merge any changes that any of our colleagues have created back to our development, and finally merge them back into our production branch. From there on, we can trigger a CI/CD process and release all of our code. And just like this, now with one click, we're going to be building all the artifacts, running all the tests, and then deploying the pipelines to production. Once the jobs are running on production, of course, we can start monitoring them also directly within Prophecy. So just like this, we have created a complete pipeline on top of Prophecy. We have scheduled it as well, and then a little bit of observability. Of course, there is tremendous amount of more to the product itself. So I would really encourage everyone to come and check it out. But that's about wrapping up the demo of Prophecy. Doug, back to you.
Excellent, Maciej. Thank you very much. And congratulations, by the way, not only on the fine presentation, but on just building a great product. It's got to be very satisfying to have brought something to the market like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And would love for, of course, everyone in the audience to go ahead and try it out as well. Super open to any feedback and comments from that.
Yeah, so let's get to that. We do have a slide, actually, that will show that shows how people can do exactly that. Start a free trial. There's a URL there. Certainly, we would encourage you to go to prophecy.io, which is the website. There's lots of information there, and certainly lots of ways for you to begin an engagement and start to find out exactly what Prophecy can do for you. Now let's get into some questions. So one question that I had, being more on probably in the manager profile piece, how technical does a user of Prophecy need to be with regard to being either a manager or an architect or an end user? I mean, can you break that down for us?
Yeah, absolutely. That's actually a really good question. It touches upon the slide that I was showing a little bit earlier. We essentially want to make the whole data team productive, right? And there's going to be different personas. Some people are going to be coming with like really hardcore coding skills and they want to write their code. Some people are going to be coming from like a little bit more maybe analyst background. They know a little bit of SQL. And some, to your point, are going to be like managers, directors, executives. They just want to understand how well their team is doing, how well are their pipelines being executed, right? So you don't really need to have any technical background. You can just go ahead and start becoming a productive engineer directly on Prophecy. Really, the only skill is like those simple Excel-like formulas, right? You can write them, perfect. Now you can become a data engineer, but on Prophecy. But at the same time, if you do have any coding skills, you can also still leverage the platform because you can build and extend it, right? You can build those gems, reusable components, and this way you can enable your whole team to be productive. So that essentially we are encouraging as much collaboration between completely different personas within your team as possible.
So with regard to those personas and that collection of people that can engage with this solution, where in an ideal world do you want to land when you begin to speak with a company? Who do you want to be reaching out? Who do you want to engage with? Who are you finding traction with as you've been speaking with prospects and customers?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's been a very varied journey, right? Sometimes when we're coming in to engage with prospects, we're actually starting from data platform teams, right? Those are the guys who are essentially looking to build out the new architecture of the future for the organization. And in their heads, they're pondering, how can we enable all those other teams to be productive, right? So then we would start with a data platform and essentially help them out, build it out for all the other teams. That's one potential really good point of contact. But on a completely other end of the spectrum, sometimes we come into organizations and actually start working with business units directly, right? Where those guys are they have some data already provided, but they're just trying to get their job done quicker. And those could be actually even machine learning engineers, data scientists. We have a lot of customers where we started this way that, maybe didn't really know Spark before, just wanted to be more productive and tried out the product and we're like, yeah, wow, this is awesome. We can just start using it from there on. And sometimes even data platform teams later on got excited when they saw it. They're like, oh, this business team is productive. How come? Let's give this power to all the other business teams out there. So really, it's very varied. You can approach it from many different angles.
So with regard to getting started, obviously we showed a quick slide of how to reach out and begin the conversation. What does it look like in terms of proofs of concept, how you engage with regard to that initial consideration cycle, and how soon can they get their hands on the tool to really start to extract value?
Yeah, absolutely. So setting up is actually really easy. Think about us as essentially an IDE on top of your existing data platform. If you have Databricks, if you have Spark, if you have Airflow, maybe some data warehouses running, setting up Prophecy on top of that is really just a few minutes. We are on Databricks Partner Connect. One click away, the product would just be set up automatically on public SaaS. If you do have somewhat stricter permissions and maybe you only install systems within your VPC, maybe you even only install applications within your on-prem environments, no problem at all. Our solution is actually super flexible. It's installed as a Kubernetes operator, and then 1-2 days of installation and you're all done. You can start leveraging the product and trying it out within your own VPC networks. So the install is usually really quick. And from there on, really, you can just start leveraging it and using it immediately.
Well, outstanding, Maciej. We appreciate the time today. We certainly want to encourage everybody to go to prophecy.io and check out everything that's up on that site, and reach out and start a conversation. These sorts of things are always valuable to consider, and we would encourage you to engage with Prophecy and maybe even Maciej. Thanks very much for the time today.
Thank you so much, Doug. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you. Take care.
Thanks. Well, there you have it. That's Data Demo Day. We had 4 great solutions and really great presentations. We want to thank you all for your participation as well, for sticking with us through the whole thing. Until next time, I'm Doug Atkinson here at Solutions Review. Thanks for watching.